Yeah.
Next up, we've got Sean from New York. Sean!
Oh, how are you? Thank you,
Hey.
Alyssa, for that lovely intro. I just want to start out actually by saying that I think early on, so I've been a fan since that total age, but early on, I think it was probably an even split. But now I know I'm in the minority. But I'm always Team Nitzer, so I refuse to make the change. I'm an old dog and I can't be taught a new trick. So
Good for you. Stand your ground.
all right, thank you.
By the
So
way, his sorry to interrupt. Sean is like one of my besties. His handle is Ebhead, by the way. So
Right.
just want to
There you
give him
go.
a shout out because I love him so much.
yeah, I actually every time there's a new platform, I try and claim that name so nobody else can take it from me.
Yeah.
But anyway, my question is, you actually sort of teed it up a little bit. Almost as if you knew what I was going to ask. But you mentioned having done some film and TV composing,
Mm.
and the question that I have is, I would imagine, at some point. Um, Way back that would have been seen as maybe just a sort of a commercial option, or something to supplement income, maybe to fill some time, whereas
Yeah.
now, with people like Trent and Atticus winning Oscars, I mean, is that something that you see as possibly another avenue, and do you see it as an equally creative avenue for your output?
Yeah, it's a good question. It can be equally creative, and I got into it with the aim of it being an equal outlet. I arrived in Los Angeles, and it's an obvious place to do film scoring, and I'm friends with Mark Mothersbaugh and a few other people that have done it, and I've seen people do it as an art form and express themselves as an artist, in sound to picture. So that was my main motivation. And, at the time, the Ebb wasn't so active and we weren't touring so much. And you just have to look for a way to survive as a musician. That's pretty much my main skill set is as a musician.
Right.
Um, so I was just looking for ways to use it. And just, once you've been doing music for a certain amount of time as a sort of just an improviser, like a lot of us do, just get into it punk rock style. Some people never want to move on from that. They like the integrity of just instinct. But it was always on my mind that there was more, and I'm a good learner and a fast learner. So and enjoy learning, So um, it was on the Ebhead sessions with Alan where we had "I Give to You" orchestrated by Andrew Poppy, and he came in with like full manuscript scores, and we had a brass section and a
Wow.
string section, and I'd been really interested in classical music as a kid, and I was always fascinated by sheet music, by notation. Couldn't read it, but I was just fascinated with how it looked.
Mhm.
And when this guy came in the studio and could put these sheets of music down and have these musicians just do it, I was like, at some point, I'm going to figure out how to do that. And yeah, it was when I moved to LA that opportunity presented itself. So I went
Wow.
for it. So yeah, I think it. The problem is with trying to break into film composing is, you start at the bottom of the ladder, so you get a lot of stuff that isn't actually very creative.
Right.
People like Trent have obviously been invited in as an artist to contribute their artistic vision to whoever the filmmaker's uh, you know project is. But in my case, I wasn't as well known or well as established, and was trying to work my way up from the bottom, and that isn't always such a rosy ride, but it's cool in a way as well. It taught me a lot of things that I wouldn't have forced myself to learn otherwise. So different ways of doing it, but yeah, I see it as a very, very valid
Yeah.
musical outlet. And there's a lot of film composers that I listen to their soundtracks
Sure.
at home as music. So
Sure.
so yeah, for sure.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. The next question is coming from Tegan Akidal. Tegan?
Tegan Eckerdal.
Tegan.
Tegan Eckerdal.
How are you? Oh my
I'm
God,
good.
I had to like turn my camera off because I cried so many times today. Just beautiful.
Yeah.
So I have several questions, but I've
Well, you
never
can only have one.
I know I can only have one. So talk to me about the salt and pepper shakers behind
What?
you.
Oh, the making bacon ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Everyone's been
Yeah.
chatting about those, and so
Yeah,
I
It's been distracting.
a friend of ours bought the salt and pepper making bacon shakers. So it is two pigs
Yes.
in flagrante,
yes.
but you can separate them
hmm
and spread the fruits of their passions
I'm-
all over your dinner.
I think that's brilliant. I
Isn't
just
it?
want to say the vocals sounded awesome.
Thanks
So-
very much. I've risen everybody in Tegan's estimation. She used to be quite harsh on me about my vocals.
Well, thank you for my question.
Enjoy your day, Tegan.
I will. Thank you.
Oh yeah, an Ebhead. You have to
Oh,
have a drink.
I don't have a drink anymore.
Oh, for goodness
We
sake.
drank it all.
I know. I got to go re-up. But
Yeah,
beautiful work. And please let everyone know where they can buy Maven stuff.
Yeah. If I
stuff
knew,
like
I'd
that.
tell them. Yeah. Well, actually, that may be another project for 2021 is to reinvent a few of those as well. So, seeing as that album escaped rather than was released, it might be time for me to dust off a couple of those. Yeah, good one. Nice one, kid. Like it.
What are the various projects that you have going? You want to tell us all about those?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the follow-up to the Lemon Tree stuff, so there will be an album and there will be or I intend for there to be an album and a longer form live stream. We've been working on, yeah, indeed. We've been working on some new material we went up to Montana for a while and worked on some new material, so we're still developing that in one form or another. Then the next Lemon Tree stuff I'd like to do as actual some of the original solo stuff that I've been working on and with guest artists, and then obviously hopefully at some point we'll get the green light and the go ahead to resume operations with the Ebb. If we don't, then or if we don't in the first half of next year, I'm sure we'll look into some form of live streaming option just so that it's not totally starved. So, and then like I said, I've been working on some animation projects and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff to do. So I've got to sort out what order we do them in. But yeah, there's plenty of stuff already for 2021 on the books.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to announce the next winner of the poster. If that's all
Are
right.
are you actually going to do that?
We are keeping you on so long.
No, it's all right.
Um,
It's good. I'm still good. I might have to take a bathroom break in a minute. But why don't I do it while you're announcing a winner and then I can
Yes.
come back?
That's a
and clap?
perfect
All right,
idea,
let's-
yes.
Let's
Go
do that.
for it.
All right.
Go for it. All right. I don't know if you are here with us, but Julia Kondratenko, are you here? Julia,
Let me check Facebook too.
please. Julia Kondratenko.
By the way, Tusa, whenever we do these drinking chats, you're definitely the sweetest perfection.
Oh, why, thank you, Larry. Very, very sweet. Thank you.
Is an offer going to be made?
No! Who said that? Was that you, Rob? Rob Rogers? Is that you, Rob?
Not me at all.
Oh,
No,
I
no,
think it was Rob Rogers.
Yes, it was Rob.
It was Rob, yeah.
It was Rob. You're in
It-
trouble.
So if the winner's not there, then it needs to be moved.
We're
on.
going to the next one.
Oh, okay,
No,
yeah.
no answer.
I
Rob?
don't see anything, yeah. So
All right, the next one might be a little bit tough because it was posted from an industrial music page, Industrial People 23. Are you here? Industrial People 23. If not, I'll move on to the next.
Let me check Facebook real quick.
Okay, cool. Industrial People.
I guess
23.
we definitely picked the right time for the bathroom break.
Yeah.
10 minutes later.
Okay, I don't see any response from Industrial 23 on. Let me just
All right.
real quick
Okay.
ask.
Okay.
Trust me, Atusa, if I could show you the world in my eyes, I would.
Now, Larry, now.
Larry, how old are you?
He's about
Sounds right, buddy.
16.
16.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
jackpot, got it right.
Larry, I'm your mom's age, Larry.
I just want to show a little love during this meeting.
Thank you, Larry. Is that a no, Rob? No industrial
One
people?
more last second. Yeah, no, I don't see anything.
Who won?
Okay.
Who won? Who won? Who won?
Well, the next
No one
person,
yet,
the next
Bob.
person on the list is actually here.
Ah.
Tom Obaski. Tom Obaski.
Hey guys.
Hey!
Tom,
Congratulations.
Tom,
No. He wins everything. He wins all the time. Jeez.
This was a random draw.
Yeah.
Random.org.
You're off my like list, too.
We used random.org and we actually generated. I mean, this is from the website.
Oh, don't show the people
Tom.
who are next in the list. They're going to be disappointed that they were just up next.
Sorry, guys.
Hey, can I just
How
say
close?
F so we can all drink?
Abhead.
Yeah.
Hey!
Congratulations to the winner.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Mhm.
Hey, should we do one more question before the next live performance? Or
Yes, one
Yeah,
more
let's do it.
question.
Let's
One
do
more.
some more questions.
All right. Let me see who is next on my list. Rebecca Carson, are you here? Rebecca, let's see. Yes, she's on.
Our hand is down. Maybe she no longer has a question.
Oh, perhaps.
Toilet break.
Rebecca? Okay.
I got my sleep today.
Maybe we should go with Peru since Peru is already on the screen right here.
Yes, let's go. Let's go,
And
Marisol.
Peru actually, I don't know if you caught that, Marisol, when Bon was talking about some of the best audiences that they performed to. Peru was mentioned. I don't know if you heard that.
I went out to have some lunch, but I would love to listen to that again. Yes, people were mosh pit and doing mosh pit. I was at the back, but I was trying to just move away because a girl doing a mosh pit is not like something with me, but I love to move on. But everybody was mosh pitting, and I was like, ooh, awesome. The two shows were awesome, and he sang like without nonstop. I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome. Oh, Bobby's there. Hi, my name is Marisol. I'm from Lima, Peru. I was telling the guys the awesome shows you gave here in my country, and I really remember both, and I went to both. Actually, the last one was like more private, but I love both. The first time you came, which should I have the flyer?
Oh,
here.
there it is.
Yeah, I have both flyers. my ticket of the last show.
Amazing.
It was awesome. It was, I could say it was one of the best, apart from Depeche mode, of course. But I really love the work you do. Actually, I just gotten my slip pad for my turntable.
Amazing. Cool.
And my question basically is about that. Do you have plans after the pandemic? I know my country is also suffering this. This is all over. But do you have plans after a new release with Nicered to come back to Latin America, specifically Peru?
Yeah, we really do. We talked about it. You know, we actually did 2 legs of the US last time, and it makes the most sense to do Latin America on the back of or in the front of a US tour. So we talked about it last time, and we couldn't quite get everything together. And like so many things, it was in our plans for 2020, and it got stopped. But yes, we absolutely do want to come back. like you say, the two concerts we did in Lima were just amazing, just so
Really
great.
amazing.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's you know, it's just it's a favorite part of the world for me, especially to visit. I absolutely love it. So as soon as we can and as much as we can, we want to come back for sure.
Thanks. It will be awesome to see you again. And I
Yeah.
will see you guys as many times as you can. I will be glad to be there. Really.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I've got a question from Glenn, who doesn't have access to audio. What
Ah.
is turning you on these days?
Musically.
Hopefully.
You answer that however you like.
We are live on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll stick with the music. There's a band that I really like. It's got a swear word in it. They're called Tropical Fuckstorm. They're from Australia. yeah, I know. But yeah, I heard them on BBC Radio 4, Late Junction with Max Reinhardt. And that's where I first heard them. And they've got a track called Soft Power, which is one of the first tracks I heard from them. And it absolutely just blew me away. So I love them. I think they're amazing. And you know, a lot of it's just actually going out, or was going out when I could. You know, there's quite a healthy electronic music scene here in LA, and a lot of modular stuff. And there used to be an outdoor event called Modular on the Spot, run by my friends Rodent and Banner, and used to be all sorts of amazing music there. So, but you know, anyone who's sort of pushing boundaries and just being creative and trying to maintain quality and do something new, you know, then I'll enjoy it.
Thank you. One more question from the chat. What is your favorite book in that bookshelf?
In this bookshelf, there's so many good ones. That's a toughie. This one's really good. It's called Jesus Christ is the Son of God, but with Son as in S-U-N. And I got this book from the bibliography of From Hell, the Alan Moore graphic novel about Jack the Ripper. So it's kind of like all the mathematical equations that relate to mythology. So, you know, it breaks down there's just so many, there's pictures of cosmic temples with like sort of divine mathematics. There's really good bits on music about how different frequencies and different mathematical ratios correspond not only to musical pitches but also to the color spectrum. You know, light reading. So that's a really good one. Yeah, too many to go through. I mean, my bookshelves are stuffed with interesting and not so interesting things.
Thank you. We'll do another question and we'll move on to another song, if that's all right. I've got a question from Livia. Livia, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hello all. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah, can I hear?
So, well, first of all, thank you for everything. Thank you for being an inspiration, and I'm just very happy and nervous to be here and see you. So let's just pull no more time. So I would like to ask, if you had to introduce Midnight Rab's music for someone new, which 3 songs would you pick and why?
Did you say 3 songs?
Yeah.
I would pick, that's a real tough one. One of my favorite ever Nights Reb tracks is a remix that Flood did of Hearts and Minds. There were so many different names of them, but I just love that track. And I would introduce that because I think it kept so much of the kind of sort of dark industrial kind of thing, but was really funky, you know, and we listened to a lot of James Brown and regular funk music. So I think it's a really nice balance between sort of more electronic, mysterious electronic, and just straight up funk and dance music. there's I'm having trouble remembering the names of some of our songs now. Off of the last album that we did, Industrial Complex, there's a track called Hit You Back. And I just really, it's such a curious mix of like, it's a strange, almost like pop song. And so I would hold that up as kind of a similar thing to Hearts and Minds, where it's an example of how we kept our sort of minimal, slightly atonal approach to things, but sort of made a pop song out of it. And I really like the balance between how obscure it is and how accessible it is. And then I think probably off of the early stuff, it would probably have to be Murderous. You know, if I was going to pick like the track that I had to really encapsulate to people what our early days were about and how we felt in the early days, I think I would have to go with that track. But that's just off the top of my head, and that's just the ones I can think of right now. Some of the ones off the early EPs are really good as well, but any of the earlier stuff, you can hear that the band is still finding its identity. And with Murderous, I mean, it was a strange thing with Murderous because we worked at this studio called PWL in London with a producer called Phil Harding, and he'd done a lot of really commercial stuff like Dead or Alive and Rick Astley and Lisa Stansfield and all these things. And there was a big fight between us and him a lot of the time because he said, no, lads, you've got to make it more accessible and more commercial. And we were like, no, you know, we're punk rockers. We're not going to do it. And we came to a compromise. And in hindsight, I think it was really good. I think it was a really good thing to do. And I didn't like the blend of kind of popular stuff and our original sound at the time. I kind of fought against it. But over time, I can see how that opened our music up to a lot of people. And I'm kind of grateful for Phil for being such a bastard, really.
Thank you. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for the question. Don't be nervous either. Just give it loads, always.
I'm Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Livia. Bon, are we good to go for another song?
I think we are. This is the last one I've got prepared. So after this, it's just going to have to be me warbling. I'm going to have to take these ears off and remember what key this one's in. All right. We've been talking for so long, I've actually forgotten how to sing it. This is only, I think, the 8th time I've ever sung this song, so bear with me. Everybody wants to be a cat, 'cause a cat's the only cat who knows where it's at. Everybody's digging on that feline beat, 'cause everything else is obsolete. A square with a horn makes you wish you weren't born every time they play. A square in the air can set music back to the caveman days. Our birds and corny birds that tried to sing, but a cat's the only cat who knows how to swing, who wants to dig a long-haired gig like that, when everybody wants to be a cat. Everybody, everybody wants to be a cat. Everybody, 'cause a cat's the only cat who knows where it's at. With jazz you always get a welcome mat, 'cause everybody loves a swinging cat. A square with a horn makes you wish you weren't born every time they play. With a square in the act, you can set music back to the caveman days. Well, rinky tinky tinky, everybody, everybody, everybody wants to be a cat. Everybody, everybody, everybody wants to be a cat. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wow, wow, wow.
Nice.
Oh, good.
Well,
I want
Bon,
to be a cat now too.
lovely stuff.
Was awesome.
That's
Woo!
my that was my festive number for a little bit of
Beautiful.
of
Very
Disney for
festive. Thank you,
everyone.
Mom.
The Disney, the
Harry
Disney number.
Potter. Yeah, I thought after doing a song about suicide for the holidays, I probably should lighten it up a little bit after that.
I always wondered where the influence for Showtime came from, like that whole jazzy feel. I guess I see where it is now.
Well, you know, I think we're all influenced a little bit by those tunes. But yeah, like I was saying, also, you know, Duke Ellington, big band swing stuff. Like my parents were pretty young. They were into 50s rock and roll, you know, Little Richard and Fats Domino and Elvis, of course. But their parents, you know, were into swing stuff from the 40s. So yeah, it's always been a big influence on me.
That was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've got a question. Rebecca is back. Rebecca, can you hear us?
I can. Hi, Bon. It's a pleasure
Hi.
to talk to you.
Hi, Rebecca. How's it going?
Good. I'm sorry I was in the loo earlier when I was supposed to ask my question.
It's been a long session. I had to go too.
Just a quick comment. I was at your Toronto show last year at the Danforth Music Hall,
Yeah.
and my friend bought us a ticket on the balcony, and I was really pissed off because those seats are so tiny. It's such a beautiful venue, but those seats are
Yeah.
tiny, so I couldn't even dance.
Ah.
And going to a Nightster concert, not dancing, is kind of sacrilege, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so, but it was a fantastic show nonetheless.
Right.
I just have two very quick questions. So,
Uh-huh.
has there been any notable or famous fan of the band that surprised you? And also, have you licensed your songs for karaoke? Because my friend has wanted to sing your songs many times and hasn't found them, or whether it's not been purchased by the venue or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, probably to address the last one first in terms of karaoke, that's probably a supply and demand question, and I assume the demand isn't that high to sing Nights Reb tracks in karaoke. So you know, that's kind of down to music publishers and all that, whether that kind of stuff gets done. So that's more a question for the publishers. And what was the question before that?
Have you had any notable or I guess famous fans that surprised you? Someone that approached you or just told you that they love the band?
It was quite surprising. I did quite a bit of work with both Billy Corgan and the Smashing Pumpkins and Marilyn Manson, and both of those projects came about after I'd moved to Hollywood and actually went to a couple of parties, and I was quite surprised when Billy turned out to be a fan, because you might not guess it from his music, you know, up to that point. You know, since then he's been very vocal about his love of electronic music and made a lot more electronic music. But I was kind of taken aback by him being into it. So yeah, you know, and any time where it's sort of a more of a heavy guitar driven band, I mean, I get it, you know, like I can see why someone who's into really heavy stuff would dig the air band. And likewise, you know, at certain periods I've really liked, you know, bands like Prong and Helmet and, you know, there's a similarity in the intensity and the low end. So I get that stuff. But I'm sure there are others. But yeah, Billy was a big and a pleasant surprise when he was into it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is Scary Larry. Are you here, Scary Larry?
Of course I'm here.
Hello, Scary Larry.
How you doing?
How's it going?
All right, man. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm
'Cause-
hanging in.
Yeah, I want to say wasp, but Ebhead.
All right.
Yeah,
There you go.
I like wasp though. You know, keyboard.
Yeah, there we are.
Big fan of all your sounds that you use,
Yeah.
and been to concerts. Wow. Well, my first concert was the Dodger Stadium. Both nights, I was just like blown away.
Yeah.
Time. I mean, just and oh wow, I'm kind of flustered because I wanted to ask you so much about like technical stuff when it comes down to using reason and
breathe,
yeah,
Scary Larry,
yeah.
breathe.
I have so many questions, but I can only ask one. Reason, what's your favorite instrument like patch that you use in Reason and controller board type thing?
I love Reason for so many things, and I've used it for such a long time. And one of the things I really like about it is it stayed consistent. So like Subtractor was one of the first synths in it, and I still really love it, because they haven't fixed it with loads of updates and change. They've made subtle improvements, but I still know that one so well that in a pinch, if I can't get the sound out of something else, then I can generally get it out of Subtractor. So I really like that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you ever work with sequential circuits keyboards back in the day, or?
We had a Pro One for a little while. That got stolen. We've had a few keyboards stolen from studios. So yeah, we had that for a little while, and I had a drum machine, but yeah, sequential stuff was never quite my flavor.
No.
I was always into the Roland stuff because the envelope generators and the filters on the Rolands were really tight and fast, and because we were working at such fast tempos with 16th notes, we needed something like that. I mean, not to bad mouth the sequential stuff or the Moog stuff, but they always felt to me like better for mid-tempo, sort of funky, maybe not so busy things. And the Roland stuff for me was always like the harder hitting.
Yeah, the SH-101.
Absolutely. I mean,
I had that one, and I had the Juno 60 and all those cool keyboards.
Yeah. I mean, really, Knights Ebb first started to gel together around getting an SH-101. We were going to get, we wanted a Pro One because that was the only other mono synth that had a sequencer built in, but they were just way too expensive at the time. So when the SH came out, it was affordable, and we got it, and yeah, it sounds amazing.
Did you get the one with the guitar like little connection you could hook up to it?
They came with it at the time, so that was like a standard thing, and we immediately threw it in the bin. We're just like, fuck that thing, we're not going to use that. So no, we weren't impressed with that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, did you get that?
No, we threw it away immediately.
Cool.
Probably still in my parents' attic somewhere.
Probably worth $8,000 now.
Yeah, dude.
It probably is. You're right.
Sign that thing, man, and put it up for auction.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Larry.
man. Thanks, Larry.
While we're on the topic, is it true, Bon, that you traded in a mongoose for a wasp?
It is true, yeah. With I sold. Simon Granger had a Wasp synth, and I wanted it, and I had a Mongoose BMX bike, so out went the Mongoose. And then I hot-footed it over to Simon's and procured the goods.
I'd say that's a good trade.
Yeah, worked out. I think my career with the Wasp has lasted longer than my BMX career would have done. You know.
Definitely.
With Larry's point about seeing you at Dodger Stadium, I'm just curious. Everybody who's caught Knights of Reb on the World Violation Tour, raise your hand right now. I'm just curious how many people we caught them on the. That's crazy to think 30 years ago, and we're still like obviously very interested in what you're doing. So this is
that's amazing,
right? It's got to be pretty mind blowing, right?
I think it also says a lot about the music of the time and the gigs of the time. You know, like the fellowship that is forged out of those shows and those times is you know, it's kind of notable. You know, you knew not to get too grandpa-ish about it, but you know, when you're at those concerts, you really did know that you were in the midst of something special, and you knew that there are a lot of other, you know, because it wasn't so accessible then. You knew that there are a lot of people that like had waited ages to do this and had traveled miles, and so it was like but still was somewhat a little bit of an underground thing. Even with Depeche, as big as they were, there was still a kind of an underground. Still felt not exactly mainstream. So you really did get that sense of fellowship, I think, at those shows. And when you left them, you knew that you'd watched a little bit of music history unfolding, you know, no doubt about it.
The August 1st World Violation stop at Universal Amphitheater, which was 3 days before the two Dodger Stadium shows.
Yeah.
That show was like 6,000 people, whereas Dodger Stadium was like 55,000. There's a few of us, myself included, that were lucky enough to be there. But what was your feeling in that room compared to Dodger Stadium? Because that was the first show in LA since the Rose Bowl concert, actually. So
yeah, I mean, I think all of us felt like it was a good little run up to just, you know, be in LA and sort of do a little, it was almost, you know, by Depeche's standards, 6,000 people is almost like an open rehearsal, you know.
Right.
So it was good. It was intimate, and that was actually the first night that Doug and I actually hung out with Tony Hawk. We'd been down to San Diego and played and been put in contact with him, and I called him on the phone from what was then the Holiday Inn on Highland Avenue in Hollywood and said, you know, we're doing this show at Universal. Do you want to come up? And so he did, and that was the first night that we actually met and hung out and forged a lasting friendship with Mr. Hawk.
So do you actually skate in pools yourself?
I do, yeah. I was skating a lot on that tour, much to my tour manager's horror. You know, because I sort of had a alternate itinerary on the tour of like every town that we went to. I was like, okay, what are the local skate parks? And I would go and find them, you know, and skate on the days off. So yes, and I got to skate some fairly legendary places that are no longer with us. So yeah, very much so, and still do skate from time to time. I mean, have to take it easy these days, but yeah, I do.
My dad actually took me in 1985 to Del Mar Skate Ranch, and we saw Christian Hosoi versus Tony Hawk in a pool competition. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, a big regret of mine. I think we made it out to California just shortly after Del Mar and Upland had gone, but I dearly would have loved to have seen both of those parks. That's amazing. And yeah, I follow Grant Britton on Instagram, you know, and he's actually got a piece of the coping and the tile from one of the Del Mar pools on his wall. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
So speaking of getting into the States, as we're on the bill for the Music for the Masses tour, and I heard that it was visa issues that caused that. Is that the case? And was that like a lost opportunity?
Yeah, the official word from why our visas were turned down is because we lacked sufficient artistic merit.
Oh,
good Lord.
What?
Wow, that's brutal.
Ouch.
What the fuck?
How dare they?
I guess they didn't like Total Age that much. So in a lot of ways, yeah, it was a missed opportunity. I mean, we should have been there at the 101 concert, you know.
Weren't Bon Jovi, Bon?
Exactly. So yeah, it was in some ways a missed opportunity, but you know, it made itself right. And despite the fact that obviously it would have been nice to have been there during the making of 101 and being at that legendary Rose Bowl concert, which is not 2 miles down the road from me right now, but I do think that the Violator tour was kind of Depeche at the peak of their powers and at the peak of people's receptivity to them. So I'm really thankful that I got to experience that tour. And I might not have, you know, we might not have done had we have made it onto the previous one. So like that, these things you're bitterly disappointed at the time, but you know, it worked itself out, in my opinion, for the better, you know.
Yeah, and you had more material and very strong material at that with Belief and Showtime than available on the Violator tour. So
Yeah, I agree. And just again, you know, a lot sort of talking about witnessing musical history being made. I mean, just watching that show every night for how many nights we watched it. It's just, yeah, it's irreplaceable, you know. And I remember getting an advance copy of Violator sent over when they were finishing it up. I mean, Doug and I would go over and have a listen because we were both working with Flood at the time. So, you know, it would like we'd go over and see him and cause havoc at the studio. And I remember as soon as I put it on, I was like, this is going to be huge. You know, just song after song of just, there wasn't a bad song on it, you know, and you were just like, Jesus Christ. And, you know, I think it was fairly settled at that point that we were going on the tour. And I thought, this is just going to be mental, you know, and it was.
what was it like working with Flood yourself?
Well, there's the old saying that Flood was, you know, because at the time the ebb was down to just Doug and I. And so there was this saying that Flood was the shadowy third member of the band. And it's honestly not too far from the truth. You know, we bonded immediately, such similar outlooks and everything else, similar equipment. You know, we came to the studio with much of the same stuff, which was handy because we just ended up having duplicates of everything. And yeah, he just became like, well, everything a good friend should be, everything a good producer should be, and everything an inspirational musician or artist should be. And yeah, the days that we spent with Flood in the studio are definitely some of my happiest and funnest and most creative days I've ever had. And you know, most of what I learned and carried with me came from those sessions with Flood.
That's awesome. I have 2 more questions before we get back to the cube. They're real quick ones, but they might be challenging for you. But your favorite Nights Are Ebb song and your favorite Nights Are Ebb album?
I think in terms of, it's not necessarily my favorite Nights Are Ebb song, but like I said earlier, that Flood's remix, I'll have to find out the actual remix that it is, but his remix of Hearts and Minds always I'll listen to it now and still the hairs will stand up on the back of my neck, and I'm like, that's just so funky, you know, it's good. And if I had to pick an album that I think represents, you know, because it's always going to be a compromise, you know, there's so many stages of development, but I think Belief, if I was limited to playing one album to people, you know, it still had enough of the raw aggression and everything else that gives you a feeling of where Total Age came from and where we had come from. But I think the fact that we are able to mix in these elements of funk and soul, albeit in kind of a underground way, but I just really like the blend of sort of broodiness and funk that's in that record. I'm still very proud of it, you know.
It's a great album. I actually just picked it up on vinyl a few weeks ago. I've had it on CD forever, but I just picked up the vinyl recently.
And it makes a huge difference, doesn't it, when you listen on vinyl again? You're like, holy crap. Yeah, you know, certain albums like that where you know, it was made obviously it was made to go on vinyl, but it was made very diligently and carefully to sound as good as it could on vinyl. yeah, that's one of the ones where when you play a digital one and then you play the vinyl, you're like, oh yeah, this is why people rave about vinyl. It's just some magic going on there.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much. Susa, go ahead and keep the queue going.
All right, next we've got Food Head.
Ah, this one. This one.
Hello from Sweden.
Yeah.
How
Hello
are you?
there, sir. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, sir. How you been? Holding up
I'm
all
in-
right over there? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit boring, but
Right.
we're alive, so that's good.
That is good.
We're waiting for the Kalmar gig to happen, but it's just
Yeah.
getting postponed.
Yeah.
A few of my questions has already been asked, but
Yeah.
I have one. I don't want to ruin any mood, but it's been a few years. So there's a lot of drummers, old Nitro Ebb drummers in LA.
Yeah.
Do you have any contact with any one of them?
I see Jason a lot. Actually, Jason and I had lunch last weekend.
Is it true he became a father?
Sorry?
Is it true he got a kid or something?
It's absolutely true that he became a
great.
father. Yeah, his
You see
daughter.
him again, say hi and congratulate him.
Yeah, I think his daughter's about 3 years old, and he looks like he's got a 3-year-old daughter when he comes over. He's extremely frazzled every time he gets here, flops in a chair and just revels in having a one moment's peace, you know. But yeah, Jason and I hang out quite a lot. You know, obviously I've seen Dave a lot over the last year or two, and we always hung out a lot. But and we see Nan in Belgium. The only one I don't really see very often is Julian. I've seen him in Chelmsford once or twice, but and we don't live that far away. But I think we're generally busy when we're in town, so we just don't really get together that often. But and Courtney, I don't know. I haven't really heard from Courtney since she took a leave of absence on the industrial complex tour. So yeah.
I just got a direct message from Nan saying he says hi from Belgium.
I've been seeing Nan's messages come up on the screen as we're doing stuff, but I can't interrupt the flow. But hi Nan, how's it going? Nan should do some magic tricks for us.
Great. Stay safe. I'm looking forward to the Black Lion album. And was it going to be a lemon yellow vinyl on the song tree thing?
You never know. You never know. We'll see.
I need some more collection stuff.
Yeah, well, you do. You haven't got enough, have you?
No, I don't have enough.
I was thinking about you the other day. I found the shorts that I wore on the Ebbhead tour.
Don't tease me.
In my wardrobe, so I'll pack them. They're disintegrating. They got rubber on them, and the rubber's peeling off. But I'll put them in a bag and I'll send them to you.
I'll put them next to my Ebbhead down jacket.
Exactly.
Great. Take care.
Awesome.
Nice
You
to
too,
see you
man.
again.
It's good to see you too. Hope to see you in person soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
I think I heard Ebbhead about 15 times.
Yes, everybody.
Oh, dude, I better open a beer now.
Yeah.
All right, next up we've got Noir Box. Noir Box, are you here?
Hi. Yes, I'm here. I was charging my iPad. Okay. Hi, Bon.
Hi, how's it going?
It's great. Okay. I'm going to try and get through all this. So I saw you 3 times last year in Brooklyn, and I blew off my friends Sangeeta and Sean to get up front to the rails, but I got to high five you, so it was worth worrying them. And I was also at the Giant Stadium show back in the day.
Wow.
And that is just seared in my memory. I was 14 years old, and I'm also a huge Jesus and Mary Chain fan.
Amazing.
That with trifecta of just amazing. I can't believe I'm so lucky that I got to experience that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the community you mentioned and how just half of the people on this are my best friends. We're in my wedding. Mm-hmm. You know, I have international friends here, and we're all bonded because of this music that we love together. Mm-hmm. And I kind of grew up a typical Gen X, like kind of jaded, wasn't really interested in music that wasn't from the 80s or like But the past few years, I found a number of dark wave and synth bands who I think grew up also as fans of these bands. And I'm just as passionate about them. I'm wearing a Minuet Machine t-shirt
All
out
right.
of France. And there's a great dark wave band, Boot Blacks from Brooklyn. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about some of the other like dark wave, goth, industrial music that is out today. And these people in the bands are just as big as fans of Night Sarab and Depeche Mode as we are. And thank you for being so accessible. It's a thrill. You know, we don't get to chat with our idols like Robert Smith and Dave Gahan. They're not around, but thank you for being around and just showing us your heart and your new music. It's so special.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I've always liked to be accessible and try and keep my feet on the ground. I've got to hang out with a lot of people who have gone on to be very well known and very famous, and it's not always pretty what it does to people, or how it forces people to live sometimes. So I've always tried to head that one off the past just by being as visible and just trying to keep my feet on the ground, so yeah. And then in terms of like the new bands, I mean, I can't really speak about too much specific. I have to confess that a lot of the music that I listen to in my downtime is not in a style similar to that which I play or have played, because of what we talked about earlier. I'm always hungry for new influences and stuff like that. But I do obviously see at festivals and shows this new breed of people, and France especially. Actually, you mentioned it. There's a whole wave of bands that are clearly influenced by the sort of Total Age era, where it's more simple and more direct. But the thing that really impressed me is that it's younger kids really being influenced by the spirit of it as well, and that gives me a lot of hope that that there's still generations that feel a sense of urgency, and that music's important to them, and expressing themselves like that is important to them. And in some ways it might seem an odd thing to say that anger is still important to some people in their music, as not as a complainy or a destructive thing, but we took our anger and sort of turned it into passion and energy, and it can be a useful tool if directed correctly. So I love going to gigs and festivals and seeing what you're talking about, where it's just like a whole new generation. And really, I suppose for any art or cultural pursuit, that's probably one of the main points, is that new generations take it on, or at least take some of the message from it, particularly if it's like stuff with a social conscience, or a social commentary, or a political conscience, or a political commentary. We've seen it in the US this year. It's so important to keep it real and keep those messages going, and not swallow a lot of the bullshit that will get served up to you. And I love seeing the fact that there are younger artists and younger bands who are willing to take a stand and willing to put themselves on the line and get out there and do it. So yeah, it's super cool.
Great. Thank you. One more comment is I've been chatting with Daniel Meyer on Instagram, and I put the mention your name drop of him as far as the inspiration to Lemon Tree, and he said that's so cool. And then I told him we were all talking about how you're going to collaborate and how we all want that to happen. So now you're on the line. You have to make it happen.
No, keep the pressure on him. Keep the pressure on him.
I
Yeah,
will.
that's what we need to do.
We're waiting to hear that. 2021.
All right, we're gonna do it.
All right, next up we've got Tom Obarski.
Hey guys, hi Vaughn, how you doing?
Hey Tom, I'm good, Tom.
Good. Just talking about the all the collaborations that you've had with certain people, and the funkiness in the music. I was wondering, going back to Fun to Be Had with George Clinton doing the mix, did you have any input on this, and what did you think about all of that?
We definitely had input on having him pursuing him to do it. Obviously, like anyone who's into funky music is he's a massive influence. But pretty much I think once he's agreed to do something, you let him do his thing. I don't think too many people have got that much influence once he gets going. So, but for us, it was just a thrill and an honor, obviously, to have one of our idols like the track. And then I remember they interviewed him in the back of a magazine, like Q magazine or one of those lifestyle magazines. And it was one of those short, 20 questions with George Clinton. And they asked him what he'd been listening to. And he mentioned us. He said, oh, there's this band that I've been working on called Nights Are Ebb. And he said, they're funky, all right. And I thought, well, there you go. If he says we're funky, then we're funky. Now that's good enough for me. So, but no, I mean, we just, with a lot of those remixes, you just, sometimes we're in a fortunate position where we could go in the studio if the artist wanted us to, and it was more of a collaboration. But other times it was just, send them the music and let them have at it.
Great. Thank you. Stay safe out there.
You too, sir. Thank you.
Next up, I've got Julia and Gattis. Julia and Gattis.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Bon, it's a pleasure. Hello? Oh.
Hello.
Okay. Hi, Bon.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so it's a pleasure to meet you. So
likewise.
Yeah. I don't know how much we missed of this chat because we joined just 50 minutes
Yes,
ago.
because we have a birthday party.
Birthday
Yes.
party and
Uh-oh.
happy birthday. Yeah, and I'm dressed up like Martin from
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Various the wardrobes of Martin Gore.
Yeah, on the chat.
There's an entire fancy dress party.
I have a few questions to ask you because we probably have to leave, and then I'll watch a recording of this chat.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a huge fan of your band in 1994. I was crazy about you guys.
Yeah.
So and I listened to you like almost every day for non-stop.
Right.
So my first question, what were you influenced by DAF, like Deutsche Amerikanische Freundschaft? Because I found similarities. And what does Nightreb actually mean? That's one question or two questions. And another is being a huge fan of Alan Wilder, and I assume that you guys are were very close friends or still are. So what is it like to work with him? What did he influence, and do you still keep in touch with him? So what he's up to nowadays? We don't hear about him. So you could tell us a little bit. So yeah.
Well, I did talk a little bit about working with Alan earlier. So you can go back to the recording on that. But we do still stay in touch, and we text each other, and message each other from time to time. I think he's just taking time with his family. He's been.
Is he all right? Is he all right?
Yeah. As far as I know, he's fine. Yeah, absolutely great. But just enjoying his family life and his private life. And then in terms of DAF, then yes, they were a huge influence. And I mean, one of the. I listened to a lot of synth music earlier than DAF, but DAF for me were a band that really focused my energy and attention on synths being used a certain way. And I mean, definitely one of those highly inspirational bands in my life for sure.
Yeah. Have you met Robert the Girl?
Yeah. We played a concert in Poland with DAF. It must have been last year, before Gabby sadly passed. and yeah, that's the first time I've ever actually seen them. So I've been a fan for many years, and just one of those strange twists of fate that the first time I ever got to see them live was when I was sharing the stage with them, you know. So again, that was a huge honor, and you know, I did get to at least sit down and say hello to them and tell them both how much their music had meant to me, and how inspirational they'd been. And
Absolutely.
I'm really lucky that I got the opportunity to do that, to tell them both.
Yeah. So Julie actually went to one of your shows in Madrid a
Yes,
year ago.
last year in December.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
at the show. It was really brilliant. I like the way you dance there.
Yeah, I mean that those shows, you know, we did one in Madrid and one in Barcelona, and both of those shows were just so much fun, so much good energy, and yeah, you know, like when we first sort of talked about going back out on the road again, I'm obviously thinking, like, you know, I'm 50, what was I, 53 years old at that time, 52, 53. And you do wonder, like, can I still do it? But lots of yoga and lots of looking after myself, and I do really enjoy dancing around on I enjoy dancing in general. So um, because we had more people on stage on the last tour, I was probably able to dance a lot more, and I had a lot of fun doing it. So and it seems to me that, or people have said to me that they had a lot of fun watching it. So that was a surprising bit from that last tour, and a really enjoyable part that I got to dance every night.
You had canceled many shows last year, including Poland. We got tickets for Poland, and it had been postponed for a couple of times now. So, are you still gonna do the shows?
I mean, it's a problem for every band now because of 2020, because so many shows got cancelled. But if we can, obviously we will honor, you know, any show that we'd agreed to do and try and fit it in somehow. But it's going to be a big puzzle for everyone, you know. If concerts happen in 2021, and it's not guaranteed that they will, and if they do, they may happen late. There's that, so you have to try and figure that out. But you know, I'm assuming that the bulk of the makeup shows may probably have to happen in 2022. But you've got every single other band that's in the same position trying to make up shows that they had to cancel. So venues are kind of oversubscribed, and there's going to be a big process to work through to try and find venues and ways to catch up the shows. But if we possibly can, then yeah, we you know, any show that's been cancelled, then we want to try and reschedule it at some point to redo it for sure.
Mm-hmm. And the final question, I don't know if you probably had already told someone. So what does Night Sareb actually mean to you? Or what's the meaning behind it?
Behind the name, no meaning at all, really. We just used a collage approach where we cut up letters and words and rearranged them. We wanted it to sound vaguely European, but not specifically European. And so we just took a sort of artistic,
just a made-up name, yeah.
Just a made-up name, yeah. No meaning at all. Yeah, yeah.
All right, you guys, we're coming down to the last few questions. David's, I don't want to butcher it, CMNE.
Hi, how's it going?
Hello.
What's up? It's funny because after all these years of listening to the kind of music that we listen to, I found out my name in Polish means dark. So my name is really Dave Dark.
Nice.
So,
see? Dave Dark. Like
That's a good one.
Wait. Yeah. Oh, you got muted, David.
Uh-oh. He's that dark.
Oh, I'm so dark and mysterious.
It wasn't me.
Hey, so Bon, I'm gonna be that guy from Def. I don't really have like any questions per se, because if I did, I'd probably be like the last guy and just do like 20 questions. So
yeah.
I just want to thank Rob for putting this together. Rob's like such a fan of just all things awesome music. So Rob, my hat's off to you, man. Bon, I'll be that guy from DAF, and be the guy that you were to them. I'll be that guy to you. I just want you to know that, like, if I can just share and like try to be like 60 seconds, but imagine this, like, 14-year-old kid that gets introduced to Depeche Mode, does everything I can to get into music, and then sees you guys at Dodger Stadium, and I'm seeing these like crazy, guys with like muscles and combat boots wearing your Showtime shirts, and I'm just going like, whoa, what are these guys? And then when I heard you play, I just was mind blown. So of course I went out and bought Showtime, and then of course your whole catalog, and it was like all of a sudden, the what they call the London subway posters of That Total Age and Belief are in our room and in our studio. I mean, the oversized ones. And you were such an influence in my band. It helped. It helped. Your sound was so different, that it was so fresh and so just different and raw. And your music, they call it EBM. It's like the music just flows through your body, it courses through your body like nothing else. I'm trying my best to just be eloquent about it, but it takes a unique thing to create an art and a craft like that. As a musician, you have a legacy, and you've built a legacy for the rest of your life. You have this legacy that's cool. You go into a studio and this music will live on forever. And so, one, I want to thank you for the legacy of your music. I mean, it just lives on. Okay. It means the world to all of us, or we wouldn't be here 30 years later, Number two, thank you for just the inspiration, because when I was in a band, between you and I could count on one hand the kind of influences that caused me to spend a lifetime and a career in music. And it started with my band, and it was you, and it was Depeche Mode, and probably just Erasure, because that's an offshoot of Depeche Mode, and
Sure.
and really maybe The Cure and Morrissey. But apart from that, it was like, as a lyricist and a songwriter, you were that inspiration. So I just want to thank you. I want you to know, like, as you sit here right now, the influence that you've had on so many people. I mean, so many thousands of people. And I know we're actually neighbors. I think you're probably like 5 minutes from me, because I'm not far from the Rose Bowl. So probably, like, if you're in Eagle Rock, I don't know where you are, but anyway, maybe we'll bump into you at a Starbucks when all this craziness goes away. But I just want you to know the impact that you've had.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. It does make it. You do, it takes a lot of work to keep things going, and sometimes you do lose sight of the reason for it all, and sometimes you forget yourself. Like, obviously, I've been there. Like, say, the early Adam and the Ants gigs, and I remember going to see a gig that was birthday party, Einstein, Sender, Neubauten, and Malaria, and just like, those are the sort of gigs, like you say, where you go there and you look around and you look at at the audience, and that something's really special going on. And then for you as an individual, it's not just something music isn't a pastime anymore. You know what I mean? That's when you realize, like, this is my life, and it is literally my life. It's the most important thing. So I know exactly where you're coming from. There are bands that have influenced me that way, and I do feel very fortunate, and I feel very honored that people like yourself take that kind of inspiration as well, and share those kind of things. And it's very gratifying to know that the efforts and the tribulations and some of the dark times do actually result in positive outcomes and ongoing positive outcomes. So that does mean a lot, and thanks for saying it, man.
Absolutely. And I did catch you, last but not least, I did catch you in Mexico City. I think it was like 2003 or 2004. And it was one of those shows. I was down there for work, and I just found out you were playing. And I think I was one of the only white guy in the whole place. I mean, and remember, the ceiling was really low, and the stage was kind of low, and it was just so raw. And every single person was just feeling the sweat and every word of the lyric and the beat. It was so magical, man. So, and then the last one was the Regent show in LA. I was at a party, got a text message at like 7 o'clock, and it was like, they're playing tonight. And I'm like, you're kidding me. So I had to ask my wife for permission. I said, honey, it's an emergency. This band does not play very often. These are my
too right.
heroes. These are my legends. I've got to be there. And I literally ran from the party, threw my black wardrobe on, the quickest black wardrobe I could find. And I think I drove like 80 down the 210, you know what I'm saying, to get to go down to LA. So thank you so much. And last but not least, just how did you meet 13MG? My band actually toured with 13MG, and just wondering how you met those guys, and you know, and how that connection came about, because I love all the work that you did with them. They were good friends. Still are.
Chicago, man, Chicago days, you know. So just through, I mean, Chicago's always had a very strong, for want of a better word, industrial EBM core and community, and I lived there for 5 years of my life. So yeah, just from hanging around Chicago and meeting all the extremely cool local musicians in that scene. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks again, man. I really appreciate you and your legacy and your career, man. It's just been an honor being able to be your fan all these years.
Cool,
And
man. Thanks very much. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to call up Zach. Zach, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Zach's gonna dish all the dirt now. He's got all the background stories.
No.
How you doing, man?
Not even a little bit. What's
Yoga,
up, buddy?
Yoga stories.
Yeah, exactly. Extreme yoga. Yeah.
No, we're not going to talk about that first leg of the tour.
Yeah, extreme yoga and extreme non-sleeping. That was about it.
For real. Thanks, Weimer, for that.
Yeah.
So I have a dumbass question for you.
Okay, a DAQ.
How did you feel like when we did sound check and I had to do Doug's part for getting closer?
I think you did a sterling job there, Zach. You know what
Really?
I mean? Yeah.
I disagree, but cool.
You know, I think if we get you a hairstylist and a pair of aviators, you know, it could be on the nights where he's not feeling it. You know what I mean? You'll have to get your dance moves sorted out, though.
I got to get my shins done so that I can get as tall as Doug.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, and then work on your jazz hands, and but no, I mean, it has to be said though, Zach, that on both legs of the US tour, if anyone ever needs a stalwart friend, crew member, you name it, this guy right here. We had a very small crew on that tour, and they worked extremely hard, to say the least, and had our backs every step of the way. So my hat goes off to you, Mr. Mac. Thanks,
buddy. No, honestly, what I wanted to say is that I love you so much. I love you, Doug, Dave, Cy, Serchai.
I don't love that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
I have loved him with a sock, but
as you do. But like honestly, this is like the closest to like a family reunion for me, and it's just
I'm with you.
I love and miss you all, and that's all I really wanted to say.
Likewise, man. It goes without saying, but we can't wait until we can get back out and do it again, or even get back to the point where you're passing through LA and we can just hang out. I mean, it's just been it's hard going through what we just went through last year and being that close, and then suddenly like complete cut off. So
I know. I know. And I saw that like you and fucking Doug went off to Montana with Nick. I fucking love Nick.
Yeah.
Nick's one of my homies. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah, man. I know what you're saying, and it's been really nice. This whole experience today, it does. You know, it's the closest we can get at the moment to hanging out, and it feels good, and it's great to see you, man. It really is.
It's great to see you too. And again, don't ever be a stranger. Just give me a call.
All right, man.
Yeah. Hey, Zach, do you have any footage of that sound check we could see?
Nope. Absolutely the fuck not.
I have sound check stuff.
Oh, nice.
Ooh. Hagen, thank you. Next up, we've got Ernie. Ernie, can you hear us?
Yeah, let's move this conversation along.
You're welcome. Ernie, are you here? Ernie.
Oh, yes, unmuted now.
Oh, there you are.
Now
Great,
you're
brilliant.
unmuted,
Hi,
Ernie.
Bon.
Hi, Ernie.
I've been following you since 1985, right until well, I've been taking pictures of you right from 1985 right until the last gig when you had to. I think you split up in the late 90s.
One of the times, yeah.
Yeah. All the gigs in London, and I took all the photographs that when you were performing throughout London during that time. I was
Yeah.
standing on speakers, on the stage, and everywhere. That's really weird positions and good
Yeah.
compositions as well.
Yeah.
However, in 1990, John McDonnell, I don't know if you remember him back
Of
to the
course,
early days.
how could anyone forget Mr. McDonald?
Well,
My lawyer hasn't.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Back in 1990, when he heard about how big you guys were, he asked me if he could use my photographs of all the pictures I took in your gigs in London for a compilation he was thinking of doing. Did you know anything about that?
Yet another one of the compilations that various people have been thinking about doing. I mean, it happens, you know, people try stuff on and do stuff. So, you know, every once in a while you'll get something coming out of the woodwork, and you know, it is what it is. So you know, you'll always get that. But no, that either I didn't know about it or I chose to ignore it, because these things come up from time to time, and if you don't consider that it's something legitimate that's in the interests of either the band or the fans or both, then you just, you know, I tend to just move on from it as swiftly as possible and get on with the things that I think are valuable for the fans and for the band. So yeah. But I'm assuming that you didn't surrender any photographs, and
I knew what the motives were.
Yeah, and so you know, and I appreciate that. I appreciate when people have got, you know, I would assume by now that's a pretty interesting and at least, at very least, culturally valuable archive that you've got. So, you know,
I've got all originals. I haven't like duplicated it or gave it out. It's all still archived in the loft.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Well, keep hold of them, and we might want to have a chat with you actually fairly soon.
It's old pictures, not digital stuff.
That's no, I mean, you know, some of the best pictures of us that were taken were pre-digital. So no, that's really interesting though, that you've got that stuff, and I'm serious. At some point, we probably would love to talk to you about doing something official. That'd be amazing.
Thank you so much for your time, your patience.
Thank you.
Producer and Rob.
All
Thanks,
right.
Ernie.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Ernie.
Thank you. Moving on to the end of the line, Thomas from Chicago. Thomas.
Hi, how's it going?
Hey, Thomas.
How are you, Bon? It's good to see you again.
Yeah, likewise, man. I'm doing good. It's a beautiful day here in California, and I've had fun chatting to a lot of lovely people and singing a few songs. What's not to like?
Exactly.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It was good to see your show last year in May at the Metro.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, lot of celebrities showed up for that show. Paul Barker from Ministry. I shared a beer with him.
Yeah, he's a lovely man. Probably the most attractive man in industrial rock, if you ask me. Erudite and attractive, handsome devil that he is. Some people get all the luck. He's tall
So
and
I have
handsome.
a question. I did not. The first time I saw you and Doug was on the Violator tour, and that was an awesome show. But I saw you guys again on the Godhead tour, and I met Julian, and Julian got married that day, and there was someone in the parking lot, and we broke out Heineken's, and we all had a beer together. That was fun.
Yeah.
And then one more. I had a beer with you in Dallas, Texas, because the tour bus broke down and Doug had to stay behind in El Paso on the Big Hit tour.
Yeah.
So who are the two new members that played at the Metro with you guys last year?
Well, actually, they're two of the oldest members. David was one of the founder members from our really early days. You know, so yeah, we founded the band with Douglas and myself and David were the original members of the band. And then Simon, who joined us on stage, has actually been the designer of all of the early sleeves and artwork. So all of the early record sleeves, T-shirts, and many other things. Simon's been the design brains behind it. And somewhere along the line, Doug and I went off and did our individual things, and Dave and Simon continued to live in Chelmsford, where we grew up. So they started making music together at some point, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And it developed and they got more and more of a sound. And when we were thinking about possibly coming out and doing some Nights Arab stuff, I'd been going back to England a lot and hanging out with Dave and Simon.
Okay.
And it just seemed like a really good idea to get all of us back together that were instrumental in starting Nights Arab in the first place. And Dave and Simon were coming more from kind of like a club music background, a little bit harder edge club music, but still kind of club music.
Well, the ICP album is fantastic. It's played in the car a lot, especially the song what is it called?
I can never remember the names of them either. I'm like, that one that goes
once you say.
Oh yeah, I love that track. Yeah,
that is a beautiful track. It's just so powerful, and I play it on my porch, and it disturbs the neighbors next door.
Yeah, good. And the inimitable Mr. Gore singing along on it too. So Martin was kind enough to lend some vocals to that one.
Awesome. So any plans for are you guys having writing ideas for new material?
Not so much new material for Nights Arab, but creative ways to kind of recombine and reinvent the existing material with a slightly larger lineup. I think we're more interested in that and exploring reworked versions of the classic songs. And then I also think that, our experience in the past with the Nights Arab audience, there's a certain amount, a lot of the fans of Nights Arab are also fans of a musical scene. And then there's some fans of that musical scene that happen to like Nights Arab as well. So I think there are kind of musical guidelines a little bit from what people expect from Nights Arab. Which we do our best to sort of express ourselves, but stay within. But I think there are some other things that, like the stuff that I've been doing for the Lemon Tree. A lot of Nights Arab fans do like it, but not all of them would. And certainly not all of the...
I've never heard it.
Yeah. Check it out on YouTube. I just put up the third one. So it's a completely different side. And some of the other stuff I worked with Doug on a project called Blackline, and nice. It's still electronic music, but it's a little bit different. And so I think sometimes, in order to keep Nights Arab good at what it does, then it's good to go and do other projects where if you're going to express things that are a little bit maybe left field for people's tastes in certain types of music, then I think that's a healthy thing to keep several options open.
Are you guys you Doug, are you guys talking with Depeche and maybe doing another opening on a future tour?
We haven't really had specific conversations along those lines, and I'm not sure what Depeche's plans are at all in terms of the future.
It would be a really nice reunion.
It would. I was thinking that the other day that we've been out and done a lot of stuff together, but it would be really nice, at least one more time to just go out and have fun and play again together. We've all traveled a long way, and I think we're all pretty comfortable with where we're at, and I think that would be something really good for the fans and for us as bands and friends, just to spend more time together and do some more stuff.
Well, I would do Uber in Chicago, and I would have your music on the stereo in the car, And these kids today, it's all about rap or hip hop or R&B. Nothing wrong with it, but they're in my car and I'm playing it, and they're like, "What is this? Is this techno?" And I'm like, "No, it's a '80s band, and they're still around today. They're industrial. It's an industrial techno." And they're like, "What's the name?" And I'm like, "Nights Are Ebb." "Oh, are they from Germany? Wait, why is it so I forget what they were saying, but they were like, "Why is it so Germanish?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, they're not Nazis."
Oh dear.
So Thomas, man, I can't believe that. I think the beer is actually kicking in. I totally spaced it.
Rob's lost it.
It's the
He's
Ebb
lost
head.
it. He's like,
It's the Ebb
Ebb
head.
head.
So cheers, Ebb head on that. But
there we go. All right.
I do want to, because we've taken a lot of your time, and I do thank you, Bon, for sure. It's been amazing. I did want to touch one thing before we let you go. I'm representing today with the Black Line. Did you want to talk a little bit about Black Line? We haven't spoke much about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was a project that sort of came about as a collaboration of a bunch of different people. Kind of grew out of Douglas's collaborations with Cyrus, and so it's sort of an ongoing thing. And obviously, a lot of our time last year got taken up with doing the Ebb stuff. So we weren't in LA a lot, but we get together every once in a while and sort of do some writing and do some jamming and so yeah, that's one of the projects that's been on the radar, amongst others, and we'll try and find time for it. And as I was saying earlier, it's just it's good to have different projects like that where you can maybe explore different sides of yourself and kind of keep the Ebb focused on what the Ebb does well. So, there'll be quite a bit of that in 2021. Just before lockdown happened, actually, Doug and I and our friend Brad were doing a project called Drag, which was sort of a hybrid DJ thing. So some DJing and then some hardware jamming, etc., etc. So, and just as we were getting going with that, obviously all the clubs had to shut. But that's something we're going to experiment with a lot as well in 2021. We love working with Brad, and we always come up with good stuff. So, yeah, there's several projects for other outlets of just good music, good expression.
Excellent. So everyone that is on right now, I would like you all to raise a glass and Ebhead, and let's all actually, in the spirit of what Atusa did for our little promo video, why don't you unmute yourselves and we all say join in the chat. Join in the chat. Join in the chat.
Join in the chat. Join in the chat. Join in the chat.
Join in the chat.
Join in the chat.
Join in the chat.
Join in the chat. Join in the chat.
Fire,
I know it's terrible with the timing with Zoom, but it's still.
You guys
pretty cool.
are hilarious.
Join in the chat. Join in the chat.
Sign in the cat. Sign in the cat.
I think we need a remix of Join in the Chat that has a little bit of Join in the Chat.
Join in the chat.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Bon. Thank you.
So
Bon,
a special thank you to Mike and Atusa for helping with coordinating the chat room, and Atusa for helping to organize this and make it happen, and a lovely co-host.
Thank you, Bon.
And
Thank
a
you,
very,
everybody.
of course, the special thanks to Bon for all your time and for your performances, which were absolutely brilliant. So thank you so much.
Yeah, they were
Cheers to
great.
that.
Really
Thanks.
good.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much, Bon.
Cheers,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Well
Thank
done.
Cheers, everyone, and this is now on the vinyl being played now.
Yes.
I hope you had
Guitar
as good a
solo
time as
on
we did,
here,
Bon.
So I'll give you that guitar solo.
All right.
Cheers, Bon. You're a star,
Cheers.
mate. You're a star.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Bon.
Bon.
Thank you. It was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I really
you.
really
Love you
enjoyed
so
every
much.
minute of it.
Bye.
Thank you.
Best
Love you
Thank
guys
you very
too.
much. Be safe.
Love you,
Happy
Bonnie.
holidays.
Yeah, be safe.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Can't wait to see you again.
Likewise. All right.
Thank you.
Rob, are you guys doing after party?
Yeah, we're doing an after party, so feel free to stay on here. I just be taking so much of Bond's time already.
I know.
Make sure he's good to go. So
cheers, everyone.
Everyone
Thanks,
else.
Bon.
Let's do it again soon. All right.
Absolutely. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.